Welcome back, guys. This is going to be the first episode of my franchise series, and as you might have noticed, there is no logo on the thumbnail. That is because we will be going through the choice for for the team in this video together. Just want to give you a few thoughts on why I chose that team, and yeah, we're going to be doing that together. First off, thank you so much for being here. This summer has been really crazy. I went up so much in the subscriptions and subscribers. So thankful for that. I do hope to crack the 1000 on Madden 24. That should be doable with your support. So let's just take a quick look here. I'm going to go into the Creation Center, then the Edit Rosters section, and we're just going to be taking a look at the teams that I have been looking at. As you know, on my channel, I put up a poll where I asked you which of the three teams would be interesting. Basically, it was four teams. It was the Falcons, it was the Buccaneers, it was the Raiders, and the Titans. The Falcons sort of dropped out because Bengal took those, and there's no competition right there. So I'm going to be looking at the other teams with you together to just sort of get an idea why I'm going to be going for the team that I will be picking. I already have made up my mind. I just want to walk you through the process, basically. So first off, we're going to be taking a look at the Buccaneers. Just going to be working through this in an alphabetic order. We're going to do this by position, just to sort of clarify the thought process here. What I liked about this team is that they have three quarterbacks, and all three are basically developmental QBs, if you want to put it that way, but they're all older, so the QB situation after Tom Brady has left this team really horrible. Baker Mayfield as QB1, John Wolford, and then Kyle Trask. It's really woeful. I basically think that Baker Mayfield isn't that horrible, and I really like him. So this would be a really nice storyline, you know, getting Baker Mayfield his redemption finally after being kicked out of the Browns, basically having a horrible time with the Panthers, and then having a really cool season ending with the Rams. I would have liked to see him there, but that didn't happen. So we've got Baker Mayfield at the Buccaneers. That would be the interesting main storyline here, of course, you know, the Baker Mayfield redemption arc. I do think that he's usable though, so don't get me wrong. Next up we've got the running back room with Rachaad White. We've got Chase Edmonds, who was horrible on the Dolphins. We've got Keyshawn Vaughn, and we've got Patrick Laird, and then Sean Tucker. This is of course the preseason roster, so there are going to be cuts here and there. I think that this is a solid running back room. I like it because it's got a young running back, Rachaad White here. Chase Edmonds, not that crazy about him. Keyshawn Vaughn, also a little bit on the older side. But again, you've got to develop this here. This room is certainly not where you want it to be. The fullback, they don't even have one, so we would use one of the halfbacks to fill in. Wide receivers, this is of course the room where there is the quality. We've got Mike Evans, who's an X factor. We've got Chris Godwin, who's a superstar. We've got Russell Gage Jr., who is at least decent, and then we've got Trey Palmer. This is of course a rookie. We've got David Moore, we've got Raheem Jarrett, Kalen Geiger, Kate Warner, and Devin Tompkins. Potential is there, I would say, and starting with wide receiver number 1 and 2, that is a very solid combination, 90 and 86 from the get-go. Plus you've got interesting rookies in there that you could use, so this is certainly a situation that is intriguing. The tight ends, we've got Cade Otton, again out of the 2022 draft, sorry. He's 73 rated, 24 years old. We've got Ko Kieft, we've got Payne Durham, 3 young starting tight ends immediately, and then we've got a few additional players that are just there for the practice squad, or I don't know what they are even supposed to be. Players like this I just don't get, because they're really basically completely unusable in the game. I know someone said that these are the long snappers, which is nice, but they don't really get the use in game, so yeah, I'm really questioning that. But again, the tight end room needs development. It looks interesting, so I think this is also another part of the team that really needs your focus. Let's take a look at the offensive line. We've got one Normal left tackle, that is Tristan Wirfs. Of course, he's super talented, superstar, 24-92, super solid left guard. I love that face. Cody Mouch, out of North Dakota State, a rookie, of course, from this 2023 draft. So I would, of course, be going with him here, trying to develop him. Nick Leverett and Aaron Stinney are here. One of these could backfill at left tackle, and we would have that position sorted. At center, we've got Ryan Jensen, who, of course, is a superstar, super experienced player. Robert Hainsey and John Molchan are the backups here, but the center position also looking solid. Right guard Matt Filer, 75-31. Brandon Walton. We've got the veteran here, and with a 75 overall and the strength at 91, you can see these stats on the right. The awareness 85. This is a solid one to start out with, but of course 75, he's going to go down over time, and this is a position that would need work immediately. Right tackle Luke Godecki, 66-24. Again, you've got one of those developmental players here behind him, Justin Schooley, but that part certainly looking dangerous on the right hand side, not the blind side of the QB, but yeah, still a side that needs work. On the defense, we've got William Golson at left edge, and he's basically next to Kalijah Clancy, who I would be using here as the starter pretty quickly because he's very similar and way younger. We've also got Logan Hall, who I really like, and Pat O'Connor. So this room with the edge rushers, not great, but yeah, you've got developmental players who will have to grow. On the right edge, we've got Greg Gaines, who joined from the Los Angeles Rams, and he was a D tackle there. Now he's a right edge. I like the dude. I like that he's here. I'm not quite sure how usable he is with the 73 at 27 a combination right there, but the others certainly not really a danger for him. So that is that. At D tackle, we've got Vita Vea, one of the best in the game, so that at least is super solid, even if those two edge rushing players are not that great. We've got Deidrin Senat and Mike Green behind him, but yeah, Vita Vea is the way to go here. Just a quick recap here, Greg Gaines, he does have solid stats, just want to point that out. The strength and the awareness are pretty high, so that of course would be positive, but again, I don't think he would be growing too much. He'd rather even go down past the 30. The outside linebacking group, we've got Shaquille Barrett, the superstar, 80 and 30. Anthony Nelson and Yaya Diaby, who's certainly the player to develop here. He's a rookie. Shaquille Barrett is solid with 80 overall, and at age 30 he will be going down, but I think with the superstar depth chart he will be usable at least for the next 2 to 3 years. Mid linebacker Levant David, he's a run stopper at X Factor. Devin White, and then we've got a few other dudes like Servo Sia Dennis. He's a rookie out of the 23 draft, KJ Britt, and so on and so forth. A lot of these not really that usable, but a very solid starter here. I'm not quite really sure if he's still with the team though, or if he was let go in free agency, or if that is still in contract negotiations. Not sure about that one. Right outside linebacker is Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, 74 and 24. He usually gets very, very good in franchise series. We've got Jose Ramirez, we've got Cam Gill, and Charles Snowden. This is an interesting room, developmental room. Really like this one here. Cornerbacks, Jamel Dean is the CB1, Carlton Davis the third is CB3, Zion McCollum is in here. We've got Josh Hayes, Anthony Chesley, and so on and so forth. A lot of these players here, practice squad players, but a solid setup at CB1 and CB2. We have to look at the starters when choosing a team. Free safety, we've got Antwane Winfield Jr. as a starter. Fantastic player, really super solid, and good young players here in Cavan Merriweather. D. Delaney, certainly not a player to really look for the future. Strong safeties, Ryan Neal, 81 and 27. We've got Christian Isian and Nolan Turner here as the backup players, but again, a solid player to start out with. 81 base, that is pretty good. The kicker, Chase McLaughlin and Rodrigo Blankenship. No clue why they've got two, but it's preseason still. And then the punter is Jake Camarda. So as you can see, this is a team that is pretty mixed. It does have a few superstar players, especially on that defensive side of things, but we also have good players on offense. The big question marks are, of course, the QB situation and then the running back situation, because that is a big impact. I like to use run plays a lot. Yeah, so that would be the question here. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the next team that was in question, not the Falcons, because they're basically gone. But we're going to be taking a look at the Raiders. The nice storyline here, of course, is Jimmy G. 77 rated quarterback, 31 years old, joining from the 49ers. We've got Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell behind him. That's a rookie who we would be developing. And Jimmy G, of course, as the main man here. He's a super solid QB, but he's on the older side, so that is one of the storylines here, of course. The running back group is super solid. We've got Josh Jacobs here with an X factor. Great start out. Damien Williams, Amir Abdullah, looking towards Zamir White, to be honest, with that 23 years of age. Really, really nice. But of course, Josh Jacobs as that X factor would be very, very helpful. Fullback is Jacob Johnson, a solid fullback. Wide receiving room, we've got an elite group here. We've got Davante Adams, who's leading this. He's an X factor, of course. We've got Jacoby Myers, who's way more solid than he looks here. We've got Hunter Renfrow, again, way more solid than he looks here. And then we've got DeAndre Carter, we've got Keelan Cole Sr., Philip Dorsett, Trey Tucker, Cam Sims, Christian Wilkinson, and DJ Turner to round things off. But again, you can see that the first four are really solid wide receivers. I would even count DeAndre Carter as a solid wide receiver. When you look at the agility and the acceleration, he's just very, very quick. The speed is fantastic. So I think that he could be a very good slot wide receiver. And even counting Keelan Cole here as a veteran. But then you've got the age situation. You've got Davante Adams, who's 30, and then you've got these here who will be going down. So basically the next best young rookie player, that's Trey Tucker, who has been promising in off-season, but still. So that would be one thing to take care of course, to really bolster this room. Certainly handle Davante Adams. On tight end, it's one of my favorite players, Michael Mayer. I love the dude. I used him in every rebuild that I did, in every franchise series. He's just a fantastic tight end, and I would love to get my hands on him. Not literally, but just in-game here. Austin Hooper, Jesper Horsted, and Jacob Bowen Moyer, which is a fantastic name. These two here certainly questionable, but Michael Mayer would be the main man here, and that would be one of the main storylines, of course, the Notre Dame tight end. He's been fantastic in college, how well he would establish himself in the NFL. The offensive line, Colton Miller, 87-27, behind him Brandon Parker. Solid, very, very good player here, 27 age, 87 overall, certainly has time to grow, so that would be a very, very good starter. Dylan Parham, then we've got Netane Muti and Jordan Meredith, which is actually a little bit of a luxury situation. I really like Netane Muti. He's very, very good with the high strength, so I would be using him as a starter straight away. I don't know what about Dylan Parham, what I'd do with him, but maybe we would use him on the right side as a starter. At center, we've got Andrew James, who's pretty young, 26, but at 72, not that fantastic. Ronis Kursu behind him. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this player. At age 32 and 62 overall, basically unusable, nothing more than a backup. But Andre James would be the starter here. Is a solid starter, don't think anything to add to that. Right guard, 66 and 33, Greg Van Roten and Alex Bars behind him. This is horrible, so I would be using Dylan Parham as my right guard. Would be workable, so we've got Netane Muti here and Dylan Parham over there. And as much as I'm talking nice about these players, the 71 and 73 rated players, that is not great to start out with, especially with the sliders that I like to use, which puts even more emphasis on a quality offensive line. Right tackle is Jermaine Eluemonor, 74-28. I've got Thayer Munford and Justin Heron. And yeah, I don't know. This somehow looks stable, but again, it's a 74 rated player as a starter. He's age 28. We could use him as a for the time being, just in the first season, but then I think we would really have to replace him pretty quickly. See how Thayer Munford develops behind him. Maybe we could use him, but that is just the thought process that happens here. So the offensive line, when you look at it, is really actually the left tackle is very good, and then you've got the left guard, you've got the center, you've got the right guard, and you've got the right tackle, all in the low 70s. Very, very questionable situation here. On defense, we've got Jerry Tillery, 70 and 26. At left edge, we've got Adam Butler and Byron Young, who's a rookie. Personally, I just use Byron Young and scrap all the others. Yeah, that's just me. Again, not a great situation. The starter is 70 overall, 26 years old. That is really not great. On right edge, we've got Bilal Nichols. Very similar situation, 73, 26. Isaac Rochelle, Matthew Butler, and Nesta Jade Silvera, who's a rookie with the beanie hat. I really like that detail right there. But yeah, Bilal Nichols, again, is 73, looking decent, but again, nothing more than that. On D-tackle, we've got John Jenkins, 70 and 34. And we've got Neil Farrell Jr. and Kyle Pico. So again, 70 rated D-tackle who's 34 years old. This is a horrible, horrible situation to start out with. On left outside linebacker, we've got Max Crosby, who is relentless. Of course, he is an X-Factor, super talented, elite player, very, very dangerous. He's the first standout here on the defensive side. Jordan Willis behind him, Malcolm Kuntz. But Max Crosby, don't think I have to say anything more about him. Middle linebacker, Robert Spillane, 74-27. Divine Diablo, 73-25, who I actually like. But again, it's a pretty lowly rated mid linebacking group. When you look at the others, you can see that these are even lower rated, not really much more than practice squad players. All right, as a linebacker, you've got Chandler Jones, 82 and 33, on the very old side, to be honest, but that 82 plus the superstar will make him, just usable. Behind him, Tyree Wilson, who I would be excited to use. He's a rookie, 75 and 23. Maybe replace Chandler Jones early, or maybe use Chandler Jones at mid linebacker, just shifting around the group here. Cornerbacks, we've got Marcus Peters, who recently joined the Raiders, 83 and 30. Behind him, Nate Hobbs, 24. David Long Jr., formerly of the Rams, Duke Shelley, Amik Robertson, Jacorian Bennett, Brandon, and so on and so forth. I'm not even going to cover all of these. But you can see that the age group here is something that we would have to worry about, because you either have a solid player like Marcus Peters, but he's pretty old, and then you've got younger players that are not really that developed. Nate Hobbs may be an exception here, but David Long Jr. certainly would have to be way better at age 25 to really be a standout. Amik Robertson, I would like to use Jacorian Bennett, of course. I would like to use Tyler Hall, and so on and so forth. So again, cornerback room for the moment looks pretty solid or decent, I would say, but that is certainly another area that needs work. Free safety, Marcus Epps, 77-27. Behind him, Christopher Smith, the third rookie, Isaiah Polamau. And Marcus Epps, again, solid looking, 77 and 27 of age, but that is about it. Would need to do some work here, would need to bring in a new player. Strong safety, Trevon Moehrig. I like this dude. He really grows pretty well in Madden. He's 76 overall, 24 years of age. And Jaquan Johnson and Roderick Timo Jr. behind him. But the starter is decent. And again, you can see that there's a lot of 70s in there. I don't really put too much emphasis on the overalls because the devil's always in the details, but it's just a bit questionable. This group of players here would really need a lot of work. Kicker is Daniel Carson, a superstar, so that is positive, and the punter is AJ Cole III. Looking at it, yes, there are fantastic players, but there's only 3 players that are above 90 at the moment, and then there's only a small group of players that is above 80, and some of these are already pretty old, like Chandler Jones, like Marcus Peters, and then of course up top Davante Adams, who, yes, would have a great 1-2 seasons in him, but after that the question is, what do you do with him? What I would really like to see is a nice storyline here surrounding Jimmy G, and then also, of course, my favorite tight end ever, I think, Michael Mayer. Let's just hope he translates well into the NFL. And the final team that I was looking at was the Titans. Let's just switch there, and we're going to do the same thing here. Looking through the group here, we've got Ryan Tannehill as the starting QB, 76-35. Behind him, Will Levis and Malik Willis. These two QBs are really strange because I like them. I liked them before the draft. I liked them in the draft. And then they sort of, Malik Willis never really got a shot. Ryan Tannehill was pretty nasty right there. pushing away. Will Levis was even worse off. He dropped down into the second round, and at some point in mock drafts he was going as the #1 pick. So that must have been horrible. But he did well in the first few preseason games that I did see, so that was nice. Ryan Tannehill, certainly not the QB for the future, maybe the starter in the first season half, but after that we would really have to shift the focus towards these two, make up our minds if we're going to draft a new QB or go with these two here. On the running back side, things are a little bit more relaxed. We've got Derrick Henry, X Factor of course, 94, 29 years old. Tyjae Spears, a rookie, very promising. We've got Hassan Haskins, we've got Julius Chestnut, and Jonathan Ward, and basically just these three here are really nice because I do think that you can really develop them further and just really get something nice out of them, especially the rookie, because rookies are usually pushed a little bit more in the new Madden. But Derrick Henry would be the starter, so the run game has been sorted. Fullback, not a normal fullback here, so we would be using one of the halfbacks. Wide receiving group, the signing of DeAndre Hopkins, that was a bit of a surprise here for me, because when you look at the group apart from this 31-year-old wide receiver, we've got Treylon Burks, who's very solid. We've got Chris Moore, we've got Kyle Phillips, Nick Westbrook, Kine, Colton, Dowell, and so on and so forth. So basically a lot of young players, so that is what I like about this. But of course the overalls are horrible. Chris Moore is a little bit of a standout here because he's 30. But DeAndre Hopkins would be wide receiver #1, no questions, but he will be declining. He doesn't have a superstar depth trait. He doesn't have an X factor, so his decline will come for sure. So the task would be to really improve the young wide receivers here, work with them as best we can with the QB room that is there. The tight end group here, again, super low rated. Chig Okonkwo as the best one, 71-23. And then Josh Whyle, Trevon Wesco, who I do like, formerly of the Jets, Alice Mack, Kevin Rader, and the horrible Morgan Cox, again, maybe a long snapper, but I don't see the use for those in-game. But that is basically the room that is here at the moment. It definitely needs work, definitely very questionable, and will be very, very hard to work with this. Let's take a look at the offensive line. We've got Andrew Dillard, 72 overall, 27 years of age. We've got Jaelyn, Duncan, a rookie, and Andre Rubsic, 24-61. I would say it's a decent starter, and behind that you've got a rookie. This is a nice setup, but 72 overall, not really that promising. Peter Skoronski, one of the best prospects at the offensive line in the last draft. Liked him, used him in quite a few rebuilds and franchise series. Very solid, pretty happy that he's here, so I will be using him. No question asked if I would go with this team, of course. Dylan Redunce and Josh Leclerc as the backups. I would say decent room, nothing crazy here. At center, Aaron Brewer, 68-25. This is pretty horrible, especially looking at the strength for a center. That is bad. Corey Levin as his backup, and he's not much better. Right guard, Daniel Brunskill, 69-29. And Jordan Roos, 56-30. Absolute madness on this position. Crazy, horrible, I don't even know what to say. Right tackle, Nicholas Petit-Frere, 70-23. He at least has his age going for him. Chris Hubbard, John Ojukwu behind him, but certainly Nicholas Petit-Frere at 70. Yes, development, yes, growth, but at the moment, horrible. On the defensive side of things, we've got Denico Autry at left edge, 81-33 of age. I've got Naquan Jones, who is his backup, but Denico Autry, 81-33. Decline will be coming in the first season. That is pretty horrible. Right edge, Jeffrey Simmons. This is the first spark of light here. 89 overall, 26 years of age, superstar depth trait. That is great. Julius Johnson behind him. So the first good, very, very solid elite position right there. D tackle, Tier Tart, 78-26. Decent, I would say. Good addition next to Jeffrey Simmons right there. Tyler Shelvin and Jaden Peavy. Nothing more than backup players. Left outside linebackers, Arden Key, 74-27. We've got Rashad Weaver. We've got Zach McLeod here. And again, decent, but nothing for the future here. Mid linebacker, Al-Shaair. I actually am not too unhappy with this setup. Al-Shaair 77-26, that is looking good. Plus we've got Monty Rice here, and we've got Jack Gibbons, we've got Chance Campbell, and Luke Gifford. I'm more looking towards the bottom here because looking at Ben Neiman, yes, he's 71 at the moment, he's 28 overall. But, you know, is this really the player for the future? I'm not sure. So MLB1 and MLB2, questionable. But okay, at least Al-Shaair is solid at that starting spot, and that is something to build upon. Harold Landry at right outside linebacker is really a sight for sore eyes. 81-27, solid player, very good usually. He works so well in Madden. Sam, not even going to try that name. Jesus freaking Christ. Okonkwo. Yeah, there we go. That worked. Never going to touch that name again. And Harold Landry would be the starter here. He could be working for 2 to 3 seasons, and then you just have to see how far he grows. But certainly a good spot. Wouldn't have to change that one too much. Cornerback room. We have a few things to touch up on here. First thing, the age. I really like the fact that all of these are very young cornerbacks. Sean Murphy Bunting, great CB. We've got Christian Fulton, solid. Roger McCreary, Caleb Farley. I like this group a lot. Elijah Molden, probably the first one that is below the line where I would draw an imaginary line. These here are all here. Yes, a lot of practice squad players down there. But the first 4 are looking solid. At least for the season start, I think we could work with that. Free safeties, Kevin Byard, superstar 92 and 30 overall. 92 overall, 30 of age. Superstar, so fantastic spot to start out with. We've got Mike Brown and Tyreek Jones. That's a rookie, of course, so that would be the focus here. But Kevin Byard at 30 certainly would be moving into the questionable territory within 1 or 2 seasons, since the decline is usually pretty rough. But the superstar right there is, would be something that would slow that down a little bit. Strong safeties, Amani Hooker, 79-25. We've got AJ Moore Jr., we've got Josh Thompson, Shaheem Carter, and Matthew Jackson. And this, again, solid starter at strong safety. Not too unhappy with this. Of course, behind that, not a lot that instills confidence. But yeah, we could work with that. Kicker Caleb Shudak or Trey Wolf, a rookie and a 1-year veteran. And punter is Ryan Stonehouse. So, of course, the storyline here, when you look at this, again, 3 90-rated players here. One is the runner. The running back one, of course, is DeAndre Hopkins, the wide receiver number 1. Then we've got Kevin Byard at free safety. And apart from that, not too much. 80 rated players, only 4. And then we are in 70s territory. The age is something that is pretty okay here, to be honest, because we do have a few older players. But I think that those will not be impacting this franchise too much. But again, it's something that has to be counted into the equation. It's just something that you need to account for. So, walked you through all of these teams, and now we will be moving out of this here. I will just be going to update rosters because I want you to see that I will be using the latest roster, and without any cuts, we are going to be starting the franchise straight away. Can you guess the team at this point in time that I want to use? Maybe. Well, let's kick things off now. There we go. We're going to create a new franchise, of course. We will be using the offline, and we're going to be using the preseason roster, of course, because there's actually no active roster that we want to use. So we're going to be using the full roster here. Still, the choice is up there. And we're going to be looking through the teams that are in question. We've got the Las Vegas Raiders, who are an interesting setup here. Of course, in numbers, 80 overall, 81 offense, and 79 defense. Love the logo. Love those pieces that are in there. A lot of work to be done. That's another thing that is very positive. Really like that about this team. Let's take a look at the next one. Which one was the next? That's going to be coming along here. We go. I think we chose the wrong direction. No, here's the Buccaneers. 81, 81, and 83. Looking probably more solid than it has any right to look like. But yeah, that's the Buccaneers. Top players: Lamont David, Mike Evans, and Tristan Wirfs. And then finally, we are going to be taking a look at the Tennessee Titans. 79 overall, 77 offense, 83 defense, bumped up, of course, by Kevin Byard and Jeffrey Simmons. And between these three, I think the choice is quite clear. There are a few teams that are even worse off, like the Houston Texans. All the teams are pretty low in their overalls at the moment, but when you look into the details, you can see that just not a lot of teams really have as many accumulated problems as this one here. And this is why the choice for the franchise team that I have picked right now, and I'm still debating this inside of me at the moment, but now I'm going to be going for this one here. It will, of course, be the Titans. You have deduce that one. Probably, by the way, I touched upon that. I would love to use Jimmy G in the Raiders. I would love to use Michael Mayer, of course. But there's just too many working pieces there at the moment, and too many things that are just too solid. Looking at the wide receiver number one, looking at the tight end situation, even looking at the QB, that is something that is not that horrible. Jimmy G is not that old yet. So I do think that the Tennessee Titans has to be the team that we will use here. When you look at the ratings, it is one of the lowest ranked teams with the worst rosters. So let's kick it off. We're going to be using the Tennessee Titans on my first Madden 24 franchise series. Maybe something to show you here. The coach setup screen has been changed a little bit as well, because when you click edit appearance in Madden 24, you can actually choose a pre-designed head here, and that usually brings along details like the cap or something like that. So I would probably go for this one here. Maybe looking the most like me, but there we go. This is, of course, Coach Dreddeus and not me. And then you can also set the height and adjust all of that to really make him, I don't know, your own player or something like that. I'm talking about player, but it's basically, of course, the coach here. So we're gonna go with something like I don't know, like this here. Yeah, there we go. That should be enough. You can also go for Coach Apparel, which is nice. I mean, it's not too crazy, the options here, of course, but you can at least sort of adjust here. You can go with this, you can go with polo like that, and you can go with this here, which I have equipped. So the choices are not crazy, of course, but that's just something that I wanted to show you. It is something that is new in the, Jesus Christ, look at that backside. Oh my lord. Yeah, we're gonna leave it like a polo. That thing looks crazy. All right, so that's just something that I wanted to show you. It's new. I thought that was pretty funny, actually, to be honest. We will be using Mike Vrabel's playbooks here. There we go. Next up, let's take a look at the league settings. Of course, there's a few things that can be edited here, and I just want to work you through those. Of course, we're going to be playing on Madden. I mean, what else is there? Quarter length, 5 minutes, accelerated clock. We're going to leave that as it is. That actually are the same settings that I had on Madden 23 for the most part. I like that. I like the momentum. You can turn it off. But I do like the fact that some of these games, and especially home field advantage, is a factor that plays into this. Season experience, full control. There we go. Weekly training, I want to handle that. I want to handle that. I want to handle that. There's a few things that I don't want to handle, and that is those. The practice reps. I want them to do that. Reorder the depth chart. That is an off. I want to do that. I don't want them to to handle that, because that is always horrible. Scout college players. I would like to let the CPU do that. I don't really care too much about that. The scouting system is not really to my liking. Auto progress players. Is this a new one? The CPU auto progress. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to do that myself. Auto progress talents. All right, no tutorial pop-ups. I think I'm just going to leave that on for the time being. Trade deadline on. Yes, of course. Trade type. We're going to enable all, of course, trade difficulty. This is interesting. I'm going to leave it on normal, which is basically the middle setting here. I think that is something that I'm going to be testing over time. So there we go. Salary cap, going to leave that on, of course. Free agent motivation impact. Determine how much motivations affect players signing. Raising the impact makes it easier to sign interested players, more difficult to sign players. I want to have that. I want to have super high impact, not super high, but just a higher impact here. Practice squad stealing. I'm really on the fence about that one. I usually use my practice squad as a talent pool, so I don't want to have those players stolen, but that is just me there. Relocation settings, users only. Basically, I'm going to disable this, although it could be fun if other teams suddenly relocate. I've never had that happen though, but we're going to keep it turned off for the time being on this series here. Staff talent cost modifier, multiply the amount of staff points needed to purchase each talent, slowest, slower, normal, or fast. I'm going to leave it at normal. Injuries are on, of course. Practice injury, I like those. Pre-existing, yes. Progressive fatigue, yes. Prospect storylines, hell yeah. Draft timer, okay. Fantasy draft order, let's leave it at standard. Free agent negotiations on stage 1, 2, and 3. That works for me. 5, 10, and unlimited, that's okay. League type, I'm gonna leave it like this. Coach firing, yeah. CPU, let's just leave it at that to be on the safe side. Full on-field control, hell yeah. Instant starter, yeah, why not? Career clock, yes. Breakout scenarios, yes. Development rate regression, yes. Certainly want to have that. I want to have those regressing. Desired X-Factor dev players, those are the base settings. Gonna leave those. Superstar abilities, yes. Ability edit controls, why not? Minimum roster size, gonna turn that off because I might drop down there. In season, player movement limit is unlimited. That is good. That is good. Fill roster off. Thank you very much. Those are the settings for the league, and with that, we are going to start into the preseason right now. And here we are, guys. Here we are. Tennessee Titans going to be our team for the first Madden 24 franchise series. Let's take a look at the team. Let's take a look at all the things that are up next episode. For now, I'm going to be cutting this one. This was basically just to lead you towards this point in time where I chose the team and where we're going to be starting this franchise together, this series. Really looking forward to this one a lot. So thanks for sticking with me through this one here. It was a little bit of a more in-depth and stat episode. But yeah, thanks so much for being here. Looking forward to seeing you next time.